What's up, YouTube? Zero here, and today I have a fun Screamtail, Indeedee, and Cursola deck in Pokemon TCG Pocket. In this video, I'll go over the deck build that you can see on the left-hand side of the screen. I'll talk about each of these cards individually, and I'll talk about why you may want to check out this deck, why this deck was pretty fun, and I'll also talk about why you may not want to use this deck. Before I get into it, I do want to say if you do enjoy this video, definitely give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more Pokemon TCG Pocket content. I do a lot of unique and also meta decks if you're interested in different deck builds in Pokemon TCG Pocket. Going to be coming out with some other videos regarding Pokemon TCG Pocket 2, so be on the lookout for those. But definitely hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if you don't want to miss any content. Time to talk about this deck, and I want to talk about Screamtail. That's why I made the deck, because Screamtail just dropped in the Paradox Drive packs, and it has a very interesting attack. So Screamtail for 2 Psychic Energy has Shooing Shout. Flip 2 coins. If both of them are heads, discard your opponent's active Pokemon. There's a lot to unravel there. First, you have to flip 2 coins, and both have to be heads. If the game is legitimately programmed correctly, in that 1 coin flip is a 50-50 shot, that means you have 2 coins, both at a 50-50 shot to get heads. That means the probability of you flipping 2 coins for both heads is going to be 25%, assuming the game is true to the odds of probability. So you have a 25% chance to discard your opponent's active Pokemon. At first glance, you may think that's not too bad. 25% chance, it's only going to cost you 1 point if Screamtail goes down. The issue with this is you only discard your opponent's active Pokemon. So I have hit for 2 heads a few times. I've been experimenting with this deck a lot, and I've played a lot of matches with it. The issue is that you only discard your opponent's active Pokemon. You do not get any points for it. So while, yes, it's pretty cool, you can discard a Mega Pokemon, you can discard a Pokemon that has 250 HP, you're not getting any points for it. So while you may be taking out a very, very powerful card, you're just not getting any points. So for a 25% chance, you're taking a Pokemon out, but you're not getting any points for it. That's just something to note. I did want to make a Screamtail deck, though, because it was a card that dropped. It was a very unique card, and this is an interesting deck to put Screamtail in. If you do want to utilize Screamtail, this is a very good deck to put it in. It's a fun deck. It has Indeedee, who's healing up and can also deal a decent amount of damage. It has Cursola that can actually take out your opponent's active Pokemon with a coin flip, and Cursola actually gets you points, which is even more crazy, which I'll talk about in a second. But Screamtail, if your opponent only has 1 Pokemon on the field, no Pokemon on the bench, and you do discard the active Pokemon, you do win the game. So there is a caveat. While you may not get any points, if you are able to discard the only Pokemon on the field of your opponent, you do win the game. So there's that caveat, but I do find it interesting that Screamtail doesn't get you any points. I have some gripes with that, but at the end of the day, that's how this Pokemon card is. You can't get any points for discarding your opponent's active Pokemon with Screamtail. Next, I want to talk about Cursola. Cursola is a really interesting card and actually really powerful. I'm surprised it is not used more, but perhaps the fact that it is a stage 1 card, so it requires an evolution and it takes up a lot of spaces in the deck, may be why it's not used, but it's an insanely powerful card. Now, for those of you who don't know, Galarian Cursola has an ability, Perish Body. If this Pokemon is in the active spot and is knocked out by damage from an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, flip a coin. If heads, the attacking Pokemon is knocked out. Now, Cursola does get you points. I've actually tied, believe it or not, I've tied a lot of games because Galarian Cursola was in that active spot. My opponent only needed 1 point to win. They knocked out my Cursola, and whether it was an EX Pokemon, it was a Mega Pokemon that attacked me, I was able to flip for heads, knocked out their active Pokemon, and got the points for it, and ended up tying the match. Now, Galarian Cursola also has an attack Spooky Shot for 2 Psychic Energy, deals 60 damage. But that's not the bread and butter. The bread and butter is the ability in which you can knock out your opponent's active Pokemon on a coin flip and get the points for it. So how Galarian Cursola is able to just flip 1 coin and potentially get you 3 points, but Screamtail has to flip 2 coins and not get you any points is interesting to me. Now, I understand perhaps the opponent can control if they hit your Cursola or not, or what Pokemon is hitting your Cursola, but it's really interesting that Cursola, you flip 1 coin and you have a 50-50 chance of potentially getting 3 points if your opponent is a Mega Pokemon, whereas Screamtail requires 2 coin flips and you don't even get any points for it. So that's really interesting caveat of these 2 Pokemon, but Galarian Cursola is a really fun card. It's good for a lot of different decks. Like I said, I was able to come back and tie a lot of games. I didn't win many because I was at my wit's end. I was at the end of the game, and I threw it into the active spot, but my opponent had a Mega Pokemon. They attacked Galarian Cursola. They got their final point to win, but because I flipped for a heads, I knocked out that Mega Pokemon, I got 3 points, and the game ended in a tie. Of course, this could also work in your favor. If you have a few points already, and your opponent only has 1 point or 0 points, not enough to win, and they do knock out your Galarian Cursola, you could potentially knock them out and win the game. So Galarian Cursola is a really phenomenal card. Again, I'm surprised it's not utilized more, but it can really help win a lot of games. A really fun card and really cool to pair with Screamtail, because this deck is already a coin flip deck, so why not put another coin flip Pokemon in this deck and potentially get you some points instead of Screamtail that only knocks out or discards your opponent's active Pokemon, where Galarian Cursola knocks out your opponent's active Pokemon. Next, Meloetta is phenomenal for Psychic decks. It has the ability Strange Singing. At the beginning of your turn, if Meloetta is in the active spot, you put a random Psychic Pokemon from your deck into your hand. So you can really draw the cards quickly. You can get Galarian Cursola evolved onto the field really quickly. You can get Indeedee and healing on the field really quickly. So that is an opportunity for you to really get those cards out of your deck and onto the field. So you have maybe 2 Indeedees that are healing up. You have your Galarian Cursola in the active spot that could potentially knock out your opponent's Pokemon. And of course, Indeedee getting ready, building up the psychic energy to attack your opponent's active Pokemon. Indeedee is going to be the damage dealer here. While Screamtail is fun to use, it's a coin flip. It's a 25% chance that you can knock out your opponent's active Pokemon. You have Galarian Cursola that has the potential of getting you points if your opponent knocks you out. Indeedee is going to be the damage dealer. It's going to be the card you rely on. Indeedee has been around for a while, has been in a lot of different decks. It is very universal, especially because of its ability Watch Over. Once during your turn, you may heal 20 damage from your opponent's active Pokemon. So you can heal up 20 with one Indeedee, heal up 20 with another Indeedee, and by the end of your turn, you could have healed up 40 HP from your active Pokemon, which is really nice. Can save you in certain circumstances, but I do love Indeedee as a card in this game. It is a phenomenal card that can be in a lot of decks just because its ability. It also has an attack, and that's what I was talking about with it being your damage dealer. Psychic for 2 energy deals 30 damage. However, the attack does 30 more damage for each energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. So if your opponent has 3 energy, that's an extra 90 damage, so you're dealing 120 damage. If your opponent has 4 energy, you're going all the way up to 150 damage, and so on and so forth. So it's going to be dependent upon how much energy your opponent has equipped, but Indeedee can really deal a lot of damage to some very powerful Pokemon. So it's a really, Nice card to have and can really deal some damage. It's going to be the damage dealer of this deck. I forgot to mention, it's going to be very unlikely that you attack with Meloetta, but it does have Psy Shot for 50 damage for 2 Psychic Energy if you do need to attack with it. And I also have Galarian Cursola in this deck, which evolves into Galarian Cursola. That's a pretty basic card for 1 Psychic Energy, tackle for 20 damage. Next, some basic cards that are always in every deck: Pokeball and Professor's Research, Sabrina and Cyrus. Y'all already know about all of those cards. They need no introduction. Definitely need Peculiar Plaza in this deck. It's very good for a lot of Psychic decks. For those of you who don't know, the retreat cost of each Psychic Pokemon in play, this is both yours and your opponent's, is 2 less. So every Pokemon in this deck is going to have a 0 retreat cost, meaning you can swap in and out what Pokemon you want in that active spot pretty easily. So if you need your Galarian Cursola in the active spot to potentially have its cursed body take out your opponent's active Pokemon, you can do so. If you don't want your Indeedee to fall, you can retreat that to the bench, put in your Galarian Cursola, and hope the Perish Body does hit. You can also move the Screen Tail to the active spot if you want to have an opportunity of discarding your opponent's active Pokemon. You're willing to risk your luck, your 25% luck, to take out a Mega Pokemon, at least discard the Mega Pokemon, which could be useful. It's just a fun deck. It is a fun card. You have a 25% chance. So if you're a gambler and you want to take or risk your luck, you can put Scream Tail in that active spot. I know a lot of matches I was just forcing Scream Tail into the active spot because I wanted to try it out. I wanted to give it an opportunity to take out my opponent's active Pokemon. Again, this is a fun card. This is not a card that I would take into ranked. It's pretty cheesy of a card. It's fun to try and get those 2 coin flips, keeps it on the edge of your seat, but it's not really a competitive card, especially since it's not getting you points. If it was getting you points, you could make the argument that it's a little bit more fun and a little bit more useful, but since it's not getting you points, there's almost no reason, apart from just a fun deck, to utilize the card. This deck could actually really work without Scream Tail and a couple of more cards in the deck. I do have a Giant Cape in this deck to give Indeedee a little bit more health, or to give some other Pokemon a little bit more health. I like 2 Giant Capes in this deck that increase the HP of the Pokemon Giant Cape is attached to by 20 HP. But that is the deck. It's a really fun deck. It's fun to utilize Scream Tail and Indeedee and Galarian Cursola. A couple of coin flip cards in this deck in Scream Tail and Galarian Cursola. Meloetta is here to draw Pokemon from the deck into our hand so we can implement our strategy quicker, so we can maybe get Scream Tail out there and discard our opponent's active Pokemon before they get any Pokemon on the bench so we can win the game, or get our Galarian Cursola into that active spot to take a hit from a Mega Pokemon and perhaps win the game that way. We do have our Indeedee that's ready to heal or ready to hit for a lot of damage. Indeedee is going to be the bread and butter card of this deck, with Galarian Cursola providing a little bit of support in the terms of its Perish Body, and Scream Tail really just here for fun because I wanted to make a deck with Scream Tail. So that's why Scream Tail's here. It can be fun when you're hitting for those 2 heads, and it's exciting for the coin flips to go. I don't know why they do the second coin flip if the first coin flip is tails, but it does continue to flip 2 coins even if your first one is tails. But once you hit for that tails, you know you're not going to discard your opponent's active Pokemon. The rest of the cards are really just support cards for this deck. Giant Cape is going to increase the HP of the Pokemon in this deck. Peculiar Plaza is going to allow for a free retreat of every card. And then the basic cards in pretty much all of my decks at this point: Sabrina, Cyrus, Professor's Research, and Pokeball. Let me know in the comments section what you think of these cards, what you think of this deck in general. Do you like this deck? Is this a deck you're going to have fun with? As I mentioned, this is not going to be a competitive deck because Scream Tail not getting points just really hurts it when it does discard a Pokemon. It's a fun deck, but it's not one that I'm going to run in ranked. But if you love Screamtail, if you want to make a deck for it, this is a deck that I definitely recommend. It's a fun deck. It's a gambler's deck, but it is a fun deck to utilize and play opponents just to see discarding their active Pokemon, their powerful Pokemon that they just got 5 energy on. It's fun to discard that Pokemon. Let me know in the comments section if there is a Pokemon you'd like to see a deck built around. I will get it done. Doesn't matter the Pokemon. As you can see, I built a Screamtail deck because I just wanted to build a Screamtail deck. So any Pokemon you want to see a deck built around, let me know and I will get it done. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Definitely give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more Pokemon TCG Pocket content. And until next time, peace.